Hi, Muzammil here. Thank you for tuning in. So this particular video is a little different to many of the ones that I've been producing. It's about me being, we could say, a victim of a minor assault, and also my reflections as to how that experience is potential food for healing. So it's something quite personal and also challenging. So let me give you the context first. There's a weekly community food gathering of a kind that is quite special and that I go to every so often. It's special in that it draws people from a wide range of social backgrounds. It's a pay-as-you-feel event. It gathers food, it intercepts food that would go to waste, and it produces really tasty meals. So you can sit and eat really tasty food, and there'll be people who wouldn't necessarily mix together. So there may be people who are rough sleepers, there may be students, there may be people with jobs, and we're all eating in the same room. And there may be 200 of us. So it can get quite loud as well. The acoustics aren't great. So this is the context, and it's a special place. So a few days ago I went there. I took a plate and was served food. I looked to see who to sit with, and a friend of mine was sitting with somebody who looked a bit familiar, but I hadn't spoken with. So I sat opposite my friend who was sitting with this other individual. And my friend asked me, "How's the news? What's the latest?" And I just responded in a jokingly way, "It depends what you already know." Before we were able to continue that conversation, the person, the man who was sitting next to my friend, came in quite a harsh tone. And there was actually quite a lot of spitefulness and I would say bitterness in the way he spoke. So the conversation continued along the line of politics and Brexit and Big Ben, whether it should strike or not. And he used terms like the loony left and was very negative towards Muslims. And although I'm not necessarily a great fan of Sadiq Khan, he referred to Sadiq Khan's roots in that he was born in Pakistan and said, "How dare he, being born in Pakistan, tell us what to do? He can F off." So, and so here I am sitting opposite this conversation, this way of speaking that this person had, and was feeling actually my stomach began to churn, and I was wondering whether I should continue to sit here. But I decided to, and this gentleman was generally hostile towards foreigners. My friend is actually Spanish, who I was sitting opposite and who he was speaking to. But there was perhaps clearly, I think, actually more hostility towards Pakistanis, towards Muslims, and there may have been a bit of a hierarchy, you see. So my stomach was churning, and I also was thinking, do I engage with this? What do I do? So I began to kind of gauge what my response should be. And I didn't feel I really had the energy. Maybe it wasn't the right moment. So I pulled back and probably created a bit of an energetic wall between myself and that individual as a way of keeping safe. But I did intervene a couple of times, not to the person who was spiteful, but to my friend, and kind of contributing to the conversation just once or twice in that way, so it wasn't directly against hatred. And then the conversation between them carried on a bit more. And I decided I would say to my friend, I would ask him a question, because I was wondering where his girlfriend was that day. So I just said to him, how's your girlfriend? Where is she today? Now, the other gentleman, he looked my way, stood up very fast in an aggressive way and said, "That's it. Just sitting back. Don't talk to me. You foreigners just talk to each other." And then he spat on me. And I got a few specks on my face. Wearing glasses, my eyes are protected. And I got a few specks on my shirt. And it was a surreal experience. It was, I wanted to keep myself safe, and that was a main priority. So he spat and he sort of pulled his energy back. So in a way, the danger was over. But then he got his motorcycle helmet up, put it on the table. And I was just aware that could be a weapon, so I was aware of distance and so forth. And then he left. And I had some friends around, and when I shared what had happened, and my friend opposite, they were supportive, which was really helpful. And I also reported it to the organisers of the venue, who too were really supportive. I felt held, I felt emotionally, there was empathy that was there. So that was all really, really positive. And then a few days have passed and I've had time to reflect on the incident. And I've had some mixed emotions that I've been processing. There's been feeling upset and sad and angry as well. But also a sense of empathy. What must that person have been feeling for him to have done that? What must be his background? Now, I'm pleased that I didn't respond with aggression at the time. I didn't shout back at him in the moment or physically challenge him. That I maintained relative calm. I did actually say as he left, "Nice to meet you," as a kind of contrast to his behaviour. And so in a way, I maybe gained, the side of observers and of the organisers. And they said that if he's seen again, that they would ask him not to come back. So my other reflection on this is how polarised. It kind of got me in touch with the polarisation in the world, and polarisations that are coming up in the dominant realm. I feel, I feel that they've become more intensified. So you're either a foreigner or you're one of us. You're a Brexiteer or you're a Remainer. You're either on the left or you're on the right. You're a racist or you're I'm not racist, I'm anti-racist. You're a vegan or you're not a vegan. That's beginning to come up a bit as well. And I feel that what we need to do more is go deeper than these positions and get more into the stories and the emotions, the places where we can connect and where the landscape is more textured. So the space where we are relatable to one another, I feel we need to start to explore and allow that to be something that is legitimate, to not just be boxed according to our position. So that's one of the reflections I've had, or another of the reflections I've had. And actually, after that event, I continued talking. I went to the library and continued talking with a friend. And there was someone opposite who heard the conversation, and he had been spat on, and he was a rough sleeper. And he had been spat on while he was sleeping rough. And he shared some of his own background. And I began to, in a way, have more empathy for rough sleepers who must get spat on quite regularly. and a lot worse too. And that is their day-to-day existence. So that's a bit of food for thought. So, I could say more about some reflections on that person who spat on me, his experience, his background, his stories. Maybe there was some insecurity underneath all this. I don't know what his story is, but I'm curious. And so the question really, and maybe you have some thoughts as well, the question isn't how do we justify hatred and demonizing of somebody else who we believe is in the wrong and we're in the right. But the question is more, how in these situations of hatred or perhaps assault, can we move beyond the polarization and facilitate a deeper healing? If you have any experience or any thoughts on this, I'd love to hear your reflections, your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. See you next time.